Welcome back, listener land. You have found or refound, whichever it is, to all the cars I've loved before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where every car tells a story. Every car has a culture. It is time to plug in, dust off, and get a little grease under the nails. And, if you have one of those error code readers that you can just kind of stick in the port, that's always kind of wonderful. I wish we had that for humans, where you could just kind of stick in your ear this device that said, hey, code 1234. Yeah, strep throat and is an idiot. Anyway, welcome.
AI is going to help us.
We're getting there.
We're getting
I'm
there.
Jumping ahead. Just hang in there. Could be tomorrow. That's a wonderful lead into today's guest. Before we cue him in here, I want to welcome, whether you have found us or refound us, refound, we have listeners. Let's see. So we're growing. Doug got good news. Mm-hmm. We are growing in Japan, France, Ukraine, and Australia, if you can believe that. We seem to be stuck in Germany. This over the analytics over the past 5 weeks, looking at downloads only. So I don't know what is going on over there in Germany. I am sure they're not preoccupied with Oktoberfest. It's the wrong time of year. But we need y'all to shift into gear. Welcome back to everyone. Japan, France, Ukraine, Australia, welcome. Germany, welcome back to Let's Pick It Up. So new listeners, glad to have you. And as we say at the top of the show here, it's time to get a little grease under the nails and slip on the favorite car-themed shirt before we pivot to Doug, who always has something interesting to share with his automotive-themed wardrobe. I'm wearing my team did not play in the Super Bowl last night. If you're an Eagles fan, congratulations. If you're not, hey, there are 31 other teams crying in their beer. It's okay. So if you were an Eagles fan, congratulations. And my team, the Saints, we just kind of went to a couple of games this season. Superdome, had a great time. Super Bowl was in New Orleans. And just hope your team is going to do better next year than this year. Again, 31 others wondering what went wrong. All right. Oh, listen. Oh, so your shirt. Let's see what you got. What you got?
All right.
What are you wearing? Let's hear it. Yep. Who are we shouting out and giving some love to today?
We're giving a shout out to Rich Rebuilds. Rich is located up in Massachusetts. His YouTube channel is without doubt amazing. Rich Rebuilds. He was definitely the first. I don't know if he was the only one. He took a destroyed Tesla Model S and put a Chevy V8 in it. So he took a car that was designed only as an electric car and turned it into a internal combustion engine car.
Man, that's clever.
Very clever. He does some amazing builds. Love the guy. Hope to have him on the podcast soon.
So are you in? Have you spoken with him or conversed with him, or he's on the docket?
Not caught up yet, but there's an email coming his way. He's super busy, so
I hear you. Yeah, eBay is wild because you can go on eBay and find these high-end sports cars, and they'll show you one picture, and you'll say, "Why does he want $4,000 for this exotic, amazing car?" And you get a picture from the other angle, and a quarter panel is missing, and it's it was rolled like it was a spare car on the Dukes of Hazzard. But I mean, you can have these for a song. You really can.
Yeah, they're salvage lots.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep.
Absolutely.
And people know what they're doing. It's a challenge for them, right? And then
they
get viewers, right? Yep.
Yeah. I think that's great. And another word on all the presences on YouTube, the people that we've had on this little podcast who have we had that had great YouTube show? Nicole Johnson, right? Yeah. Speedy Cop. H Wheels. We've had so many wonderful people who've been gracious with their time that just had these knockout shows on YouTube. Production values like you'd see on TV, if not better. So check them out. Oh, and you can get the full list on our website. The next thing I wanted to talk about, we have a completely revamped website. All props to the technical guru, Mr. Doug. I can't believe how good it looks. It's leaps beyond and where it was. So good job, partner. Congrats. Mm-hmm. And you can see a bunch of photos of cars. You can see our full episode list, so you don't have to, scroll through. I thought that was so clever the way you made that work, as well as the intake form. What else is on there? It just really looks.
We have a blog, which we always have, but now it looks much better. We have a reviews page that auto scrolls, and let's see what other thing. We have an events page. So that might be an event you're going to. It could be a car event. It could be, if you look at tonight, you'll see that we're recording with our guest. There's more info on there. We'll do an introduction to him in a few.
Yeah, and I like the way that you've done that. And let's see, I wanted to mention something else. It was in my head and flew right out when you called on me. Oh, now we don't have reviews on the website. For that, you have to go to the specific. We do. We do. Now he didn't do the API to kind of port them back and forth, but they're just kind of.
It's a manual Doug process at the moment.
Well, we love that. That's what built the internet, the manual Doug process.
Speaking of reviews.
Can I
share one?
Yes.
This is from Apple Podcasts from January 24th. So
a recent one.
Not too long ago of this year. And it's by T.R. Holloway Jr. Titled Super Cool, 5 stars, thank you.
Love the 5 stars.
And it says, this podcast is a must listen for any car enthusiast. The host's passion for cars shines through every episode with detailed discussions, fascinating stories, and expert advice. Thank you.
I like that.
Thank
you, Mr. T. Holloway Jr. 2007 or whatever it was. That's great. But this is not only for automotive enthusiasts. That's a great review. Thank you. This is for anyone. This is for anyone who wants to be on the show, who has a love for cars, or simply a story to tell. And we appreciate that.
Speaking of which, another YouTuber and big podcaster we had on recently, Crystal Prophet.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't think she had anything about cars to share, but man, her first couple cars were great stories.
And it wrangled in. Yeah, and that's the thing about when you talk about these machines, you start to talk about family. Well, where did the first car from? It came from my dad. My dad owned a business. Tell me about the business. Tell me about grandma. Tell me about grandpa. And now, everything. And when we get to the end of the shows, it's interesting how that people are parents now and have their own kids. Oh, I got my like me, for example. I just got my kid the Mustang, and he loves it. He's in heaven. So
I think there's a video. I think there's a video of you in the Mustang introducing the new website. It's all
and that just dropped today. That just dropped today. Do we have a lot? Has that gotten a lot of traffic yet, or?
Well. The audio is doing great. The audio is really it's a great video actually, that car. I mean, you got such a great deal on that car, and that car looks brand new for a 2004.
Yeah, and my son. Yeah, and we were on the way to a Super Bowl party, so I got pick up my son, and I said, "Hey, before we go to this party, we've got to do some. We got to make some content. We got to do a trailer." And so, hey, it was my middle son and I chatting and talking and laughing and making some videos. So again,
it was good.
All about really well. Now, before we pivot to today's guest, you saw a rare supercar, a 928 recently in a curious color, and did the car look like it ran? In your humble opinion?
The car was running. It was on Route 50, and I mean, it looked brand new.
Yikes!
I think the color was moonstone, which is kind of a pinkish purplish, but
maroonish.
Could it be maroon? Much lighter.
Whoa!
Yeah, but I mean it was probably 91 is my guess. So it was the second generation, if you will.
Yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful car.
And that was near the wind down of that car, right? They only made them to 94, 96, I want to say. Something like
correct,
that?
Something like that, yep.
Was it an S4 perchance?
77, 78, what's that?
It wasn't an S4, was it?
It didn't say on the bumper.
Gotcha, okay. So then it wasn't. Neat car.
The 87 was the first year of the S4, and then they came out with GT and GTS. It was hard to tell what it was, but from the distance. But it looked great. It was going down the road, no problem.
At least for as far as you were telling
Looked like
him,
a little
yeah,
rocket
sure.
ship. And man, I
So
wish I had taken
distinctive.
a picture for you because I know it's one of your favorite childhood cars.
Yeah, and I'm happy because Driving Ivan, we're going to have him on in a few weeks, and in at least on his YouTube channel, he owned one for quite a time. So I can't wait to talk to an owner.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that in a few weeks. So excellent, thank you. On to, I think we're done with the prologue, and we've gotten all the community announcements out. On to today's guest. So Doug, please introduce the newest friend of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a friend of the show. His name is Croom Lawrence. I met him by way of, he was my neighbor. He still lives in the area, but not right around the corner.
So he moved away from you as soon as he met you, is basically what you're saying.
I think we kicked him out of the neighborhood. I forget.
One of the two. Beautiful.
I've been here longer.
Yeah.
And Croom, turns out Croom's got some great car stories. We reconnected just recently over some venture that we're going to chat with him about, where he's trying to help diagnose mild cognitive impairment in people using AI. So we're going to chat about that. But Croom, why don't you introduce yourself if there's anything I left out, which is probably a lot.
Well, it is just so fun to be with you guys. I'm really thrilled. And it was just going down memory lane was just so fun, thinking about all the different cars I've had over the years, from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, each with its own sort of, each era was a big time in my life where the car really was maybe emblematic of what I was, going through, or what I was trying to accomplish, or what I was trying to stand for. But having grown up on a farm, with Ford 1000 tractors that had this incredible energy and power in the motor, when I got to my first car, which we're going to talk about, the Mercedes-Benz, the 240D, that sort of rhythmic thrum of that engine has always been near and dear to my heart. And so I hope we can talk a little bit about that as well in the next couple of minutes.
All right. So, no, go ahead, Doug.
No, I'm agreeing.
I was just before we start talking about the cars here, you just kind of gloss over that you grew up on a farm. And I find that so interesting. If you could, a minute or two on where it was, what that was like, what did you grow? Was it successful? What were your memories of it? Did you pitch in at all?
That's wonderful. And so I grew up on a small farm out in Virginia, where we had cows and pigs and 13.
Where in Virginia?
Out in the Plains, Virginia. So if you go
beautiful horse country, gorgeous.
Washington. Granddaddy was essentially a cattle farmer, and Dad was a small town lawyer. So we had it was a little bit like the All Creatures Great and Small show on the BBC. Where we're out in the middle of a blizzard with sheep, and they're giving birth to lambs, and we're sort of covered in sort of muck, trying to help sheep, give birth to their lambs. Lots of exciting moments, but a little bit different, Doug, from our wonderful life in Annapolis, Maryland, where we are and where we met just a couple of years back. And so, Doug and I, we met in town, and then I've moved out a little bit closer to the Bay. It was great to reconnect, Doug, especially to bring back memories of the wonderful car in your garage. And I hope we touch on that a little bit.
Sure. I think it comes up often. Happy to chat about it anytime. I actually had it out yesterday.
He's got a couple of cars in the garage, Croom. So which one are you referring to? The one that runs, the one that doesn't?
I think the silver one.
Okay, all right. We'll let Doug take it from here.
I hope
that would be the 1981 DeLorean.
Okay, that's amazing.
Fantastic. All right.
It's a great car. It inspired this podcast, thanks to Christian, actually.
Yay.
Awesome. He doesn't like to take credit, but he should.
Yeah, let me powder my nose here a little bit, get ready for my close-up. So what's the status of the Z in the garage too? Or should we not talk about that? Oh, no.
Ian, I forget it's there sometimes.
The smile turned to a frown. What happened with that? Is it a little close to home?
So quickly, in high school, one of my best friends had a 1990 Nissan 300ZX when they first changed body styles. Z32. Not pop-up headlights. That was the Z31. I actually had a friend in high school who had a Z31 also. And I always liked that car. I had as I've talked about on other podcasts, I had an 89 240SX, which was kind of the poor man's version of that car. I always liked that car. Keeping the story short, that car, wanting to buy the 300ZX, got me partially into my field, looking in the want ads, thinking in 1991, 92, what am I going to do for a job as a career? And hey, here's a job as a network administrator. It will pay $31,000 a year. And so fast forward 30 plus years, I forgot about the car. I never bought it. And one day I just went and got one. And it was a impulse purchase. It got hit a few times on my very narrow street in Annapolis. It's about 5 different colors, and it's in my garage. And I hope to resurrect it.
Amen. And that is beautiful. And, that's the thing about getting these items on the bucket list. At some point in your life, you got to start checking them off. And so I think that is commendable that you checked it off and we're moving on. Speaking of moving on, so Croom, would it be fair to say that your first car was a tractor or was your first car a Benz?
First car was a tractor. So I would sit on my dad's lap. He would teach me how to, use it safely. And then by probably the age of 10 or 11, I would go out and bush hog in fields, just by myself on the tractor. And they can be extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Very powerful. They could turn over. They can be lethal. But we still have them today. In fact, we have 2 of them, and they run beautifully. They were from 1965. So all these years later, these tractors start up.
Wait. You're saying the tractor that you drove as a child, still on your folks' farm?
Yeah.
What kind of tractor?
It's a 1000. It's a classic sort of blue.
Yeah, I know
it. Size. You've seen them around. We have one it's called highlight. Another one we have called low light. They're in continuous states of fixing up and repair.
Sure.
But when they run, they are incredibly, comfortable and powerful. Can do everything you need to do.
Right. So for the people out there, don't think big combine. This is about the size of a small car, no cab, no air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of a 1-seater for you to do your thing.
And was it a diesel? Was it a diesel?
They're gas.
They're gas. Okay.
We do have a Massey Ferguson that is diesel, so you have to have a little bit of a love of the smell of diesel when you're going on a farm, or if you have something.
Well, a little piece of trivia: both Porsche and Lamborghini started making tractors.
Really?
That is great trivia.
Great story.
Great nugget. Yeah. And then there are all these legends, like they were angry. What was one guy went to the Ferrari dealership and was disrespected? That's not a true story.
That was Ferruccio Lamborghini. He wasn't happy with the clutches, and he was making tractors at the time. So he's he got disrespected by Mr. Ferrari, Enzo, and he's like, I'll build a competitor. And
no, that's not true, is it?
There you have it. It is.
That story's apocryphal. No, it's true.
No, it's true.
Amen. Let's go with it. So speaking of diesel, Croom was so taken with the tractor that his first car was, tell us about it, Croom.
The 240D. So this was a classic, from the early 80s. This was a 1984 2.4 line, an inline four that probably had about 250,000 miles on it. So it's probably about a quarter of what it was supposed to do. These things were supposed to go 1 million miles. And they're famous for being, incredibly slow, but incredibly powerful, and just a lot of momentum and a lot of steel, and just, kind of a funny ride. You stomp on the gas, a huge cloud of black smoke comes out the back. In the wintertime, you'd have to, turn on the glow lights. They have little weird glow bulbs. And then it was actually the first plug-in, right? So back in the day in the winter, you plug in this element.
Yep.
So we were really ahead of our time, with this, this thing.
Yeah, it was a plug-in diesel.
That's right.
Yep.
We had seen them as taxi cabs, in Germany. They're sort of everywhere. They're not a luxury car at all. So we had called ours the Lime Limo.
Ah,
The lime
now we
limo.
know.
We
Now
grew
we
up.
know the color.
That's right. It was green. I'll just say one more little tidbit, which is sort of funny and maybe gets back to my country roots a little bit, is that the green color was starting to fade. The thing was so old, and had been, several 100,000 miles. So we then had it camouflaged because and so we were like, let's just roll this thing out into the duck blind and we'll just stand up out of the roof and, blast away at the geese or something like that.
Are
So
you serious?
yeah, we literally had the thing camouflaged, in its last sort of end of life stage. Anyway, so there it was in the driveway, this camouflaged 240D. Anyway, the thing, you couldn't kill it, indestructible.
Yeah, it kept going. You'll see these things on the road now. You
Right.
will. And gosh, I was going through the Craigslist one ads once. And the guy had one of these for sales, and he said, "Man, this is it. This is the original battle wagon." And I always thought that was interesting because, as you say, indestructible. Just keep going and going and going.
Yep, the model code is W123.
Correct. Known as the greatest car ever made.
Yep, yep,
I know that we could certainly debate that, but at least back in the 80s,
yep,
this thing was indomitable.
yep.
Well,
I think I told you before we started, or maybe it was over text, I was watching a show called The Car Wizard on YouTube that I really like, and he happened to have a 240D on last night. I'm like, perfect timing. So
Awesome.
got to learn about it, and yeah, they're very prized. I mean, especially ones from the West Coast, people will pay upwards of 30 grand or more.
Hi, this is Christian with To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I love this show so much, I wish it would come out weekly instead of bi-weekly? Well, guess what? You asked, we answered. Henceforth, that means from now on, you're going to get a piping hot new episode of To All the Cars I've Loved Before, weekly instead of bi-weekly. How do you like that? We will see you on your mobile telephone streaming device of choice weekly from now on.
If you've ever had one, there's a distinctive leather smell when you
That's
get
what they
into
were
it.
talking about.
You really
The
do.
ME-Tex.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's very distinctive.
Yes.
And then you mix that with a little diesel.
Mm-hmm.
You might even have like a to-go cup, maybe a little light beer. You might be cruising down the country roads in there. Anyway, it's a whole lifestyle.
Yep, it is. It is. And everybody's got at least from our generation, everybody's got a Mercedes diesel story.
Right.
Right? Christian, you helped out your girlfriend who had a Mercedes diesel?
Yeah, I was, and golly, this podcast, it dredges up so many memories, happy
Good
ones.
and bad.
Yeah. I was dated this girl for a short time, and she drove one of these, like this exact one. It was this big. It was just jet black. It was like rolling around, having first dates in a hearse or something. But this thing was something else. And we went. I'll never forget. I haven't thought about this in decades. We were going to go to Arlington National Cemetery, and we park. And she can't roll up the windows, and she flips out. What are we going to do? I'm thinking, nobody's going to break in your car. We're Arlington National. Give me a break. But I said, it's probably just a fuse, honey. Let's go crack the hood and get under there. Fuse box on. There's a spare one right here, and we plop one in, and 5 minutes later, windows are working. She thought I had split the atom. It was unbelievable. On and on about, boy, I got free dinner that night. That night, let me tell you.
I bet.
But yeah, they just kind of kept going. And I drove a rust bucket. Didn't have the best luck with cars back in the day. I made her drive everywhere, and it was just like being chauffeured. That was a great car, man. And like you say, had this very upscale interior. Obviously, it was luxury for the time that it was made.
Yeah.
Just beautiful, so well appointed on the inside. Absolutely a beautiful machine.
Did she mind you sitting in the back seat while she was driving?
Oh no, I guess I was sitting in the front. Yes, drive up.
It wasn't the lime limo; it was the black limo, right?
This thing was a trip, man. This thing was a trip. Anyway, Yeah.
It's
Okay. So
funny about
this was the
that.
greatest car ever until
Yeah.
Croom. He liked the product line so much. His next car was a.
Well, a 300D turbo diesel. So it was the same
That's
thing, but a little bit longer. It had the turbo, and so it really then had some good acceleration, but still the same weight and just the diesel odor and all the things that go with that, the crazy fuse box and stuff.
dig it.
The
Anyway, yeah, the turbo diesel was helpful. I mean,
W126.
yeah,
It
right.
it had a inline five. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
inline
Now,
five
this,
cylinder
this
diesel.
one was also sort of indestructible. It's funny when you were talking about your girlfriend. I was on this incredible, this wonderful romantic date with a wonderful girlfriend of mine back in the day. And we're driving around in these, I don't know, we're driving through this parking lot, and somehow I was focused on this conversation with my girlfriend, and I drove the car off this 5-foot retaining wall. Did not
Whoa.
in between these two parking lots and probably the sort of this mall, went right off this 5-foot wall. The thing just absolutely landed like a big hunk of steel, and it was totally fine. There was zero damage to the chassis. Nothing was bent. The thing drove beautifully. It was a funny memory, thinking about that coming on today.
Fantastic. I can't
Right.
believe that story that you're here to tell the tale.
The moral of the story is you got to pay attention when you're driving. You get
Yeah.
distracted. You might
Even
drive
if you're in
right
a
off the cliff.
tent.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, right. I mean, you can't be distracted when driving. Can't
That's
be
right.
and it's a bad look on your first date to run your
You'd think,
companion off an embankment or something. Yes.
would think that would be a problem.
Words of wisdom. Doug, what do you think about all that?
Well, I think if the Mercedes is indestructible, Croom's going to find a way to see if that's true.
I guess so.
And yeah, three nuggets we got to squeeze in here before we go any further in writing. Yeah, so Croom let us know that okay, so the first car, the 240D, his dad got him for his 18th birthday. Phenomenal, fantastic, love that. And in describing his first car, he says it was slow and smelled like diesel, but was unstoppable, which I love. And the next car he describes as this is the 300 turbo diesel, a little faster, but still smelled like diesel. So it obviously made a big impression on you, man. There must be diesel running through your veins.
I think you're right, and that the smell of leather and the diesel, it all comes back. All these great memories of growing up. I do remember. I think it was $3,600 used. So I think we got it with 100,000, 120,000 miles on it. So very, not, seemed economical at the time, and just needed, probably a couple $1,000s a year to kind of keep it going. The repairs weren't necessarily cheap, going to the foreign auto place. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and I took that down to college and was able to drive people around and all that kind of thing. So
Yep, I bet good stories there.
I can't remember where it ended up. Unfortunately, I was trying to think what was the ultimate demise of this car. Someone's got it. I bet you they're still driving it somewhere.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, and this was going to be a new segment. Living out in Virginia, I live in the DC area. You're a little farther out. But were there any radio stations you liked when you were driving this Mercedes? And any particular songs when you were thinking back of the 84 and 90 Benzes?
Well, I do. We used to love DC 101. We loved the
DC 101, yeah.
We loved Howard Stern.
I remember that.
Grew up listening to that for a long, long time. Some of the, they played a lot of the classic rock stuff, probably a little AC/DC and probably a little Grateful Dead and a little Eagles and some Doors and all that stuff. I remember we did go to an AC/DC concert and we were teenagers and, just total nincompoops. And we got these jean jackets, we cut off the sleeves, put on, t-shirts, and we're trying to look all cool and stuff, rolling up in this old Benz. It didn't make any sense, but what are you gonna do?
You were the height of cool, my friend, with your cut off jean jackets going to an AC/DC show in your Benz. The height of cool, man.
You bet. Those are good years.
Yeah. So you're moving forward. What's your current car?
Right. So I ended up with I was interested in AI, right? And I did end up
Mhm.
reading the Elon Musk biography, which I thought was very interesting. And I ended up getting I got a series 3, the little baby Tesla white on white. So I have that now, and I drive it to death. And that thing is an incredible workhorse. Very happy with that car because there's just a lot of cool stuff going on. It updates every 2 weeks, and it's just the software and the functionality and the capability just keeps getting better and better and better. It's
Yeah.
just fascinating to watch the evolution of that
Yeah,
ride.
yeah, absolutely. I'm on my second Tesla. My first was a Model 3, and yeah, it was amazing. From the day I bought it to the day I sold it, it got better. It got faster.
Yeah, it's
It
crazy
was more responsive. The features just kind of unbelievable, right? Like,
for sure.
and they call that the software-defined car. Some people have said, right?
That's fascinating.
And I think you were telling us about some interesting features, and there was in the new Model Y, but also available in some other cars outside of Tesla. And we were talking about that and the tie-in to your company.
Well, yeah. So sky is the limit on imagination. If you have an iPad on wheels and a battery, you could and different sensors, you can do a lot. And one of the fascinating things that Elon did was really to streamline and strip out as many sensors as he could, just to save cost, reduce weight. But he really had a minimalist approach to the series 3 that I thought was interesting. But now in the healthcare context, you can add back different sensors that in some instances can measure your heart rate, look at your breathing rate, look at different aspects of mood or other capabilities that could have sort of a more real-time healthcare capability. So if you're feeling anxious or stressed, it could automate into a more relaxing mode. If you're having some sort of visible health or cardiovascular event, the car could detect that potentially in the future and just automatically reroute you and take you to the ER. There are just some interesting use cases that I'm trying to follow and understand, that are, I think, are very inspiring and I think practical, and frankly don't cost anything. It's just simply code and capability.
Right.
It's marvelous
Right.
to see.
If you can dream it, it's there, right? The
That's
features are there, right?
I think that's right.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that the nexus of healthcare and the car being able to take you somewhere where you need to go. And at this point in the show, we'd like to pivot to what it is you do for a living, your passion. What do you do during the day, and how does that interweave with what we were just talking about?
Well, thank you. And so I am interested. I've been in the healthcare commercialization space for my career ever since in the late 90s, really more coming out of biopharma. And then I've gotten into diagnostics and digital and AI powered care. AI stuff on the diagnostic side are usually in the bioinformatics. AI on the commercial side is more automating content marketing, automating digital experiences. But I'm thinking all the time about bringing medical breakthroughs to market. So I will work with scientific founders to they might have discovered something that's absolutely game changing. It's on the shelf. They need help to get it to market. And so, I just loved, and I think you have to be a hands-on keyboard person this day and age. So even being in the Tesla, just experiencing the software, the language, the data privacy elements, the opt-ins, the updates, the personality that comes from the Tesla, that you can kind of get a sense of, Elon's sort of potty humor, if you will, but it injects some personality. But all those things, I think, equal sort of the kind of a brand experience that's unique and ownable and exciting. And I frankly try to bring that inspiration back to some of the work that I do in the healthcare setting. So to me, it's all kind of one integrated experience. It's
Good
on for
point.
everybody else.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And as we ramp down the podcast and move to conclusion here, one last thing I'd like to discuss with you is you have this outlook and about how the body can kind of, I can't really put it into words the way you can, but how the body sort of is a great analogy for a car and vice versa,
Yes.
with holistic machines working. And Doug and I were talking about this some time ago. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, there's some fascinating philosophical dimensions and that are very practical. So in the human body, my work in Alzheimer's and mild cognitive impairment, if the body is unhealthy, your brain is going to be unhealthy. And so we're taught that there are a lot of different functional systems in the body. Really, there's one system. It's super interdependent. And so when we look at cognitive health and body health, it really is just having like a 30-point checklist. And so that, I think the car is the same way, right? I mean, it's a bunch of independent parts, but it really has to function as one independent or one integrated system. Like my Mercedes, like if there's one little tiny plug that's out, you're toast, right? So you got to make sure all the parts work. And we had a little chuckle earlier, thinking back to a Saturday Night Live skit. I can't remember, who it was, but it's something, the notion of it's better to look good than to feel good. You guys remember that from SNL. But I think with the car, it's both. And I think with the human body, it's both. You need to look good. You need to feel good, because sometimes the exterior of the car is sort of emblematic of what's happening on the inside. You can look at the clues of how to kind of keep this integrated system going, at its best performance.
And yeah, you raise a good point. In one of the most, so the body is this incredibly complex machine, the brain even more so mysterious even now. And people say, well, how can I ward off these bad things that you were talking about happen to me later in life? And it's as simple as being active and what you put in your body. There's no magic. There's no real magic recipe. Genetics to a degree, but overwhelmingly being active, moving, very simple to do. Put a pull-up bar in your parlor, and then just eating. Look, more salads, less carbs, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's beautiful. So, and could you talk a little bit, or as much as you would care to, about your company, maybe its name, its website, if you care to?
Well, sure. So Predictive Healthcare is the company. The URL is predictcare.ai, and that's a fractional chief marketing officer consultancy. My favorite company, though, which is adjacent to it, is called Accurist AI, and that's a teleservices company where we have a compound pharmacy, we have OTC retail, e-commerce, to build holistic solutions really outside of the healthcare system. So healthcare is such a thorny mess, and it's so daunting. You wait months and months to get an appointment. You get a couple of minutes with a doctor. You may not have access. So we're really trying to build care, for consumers, for people, really in the longevity space. And so, if you can have a 1,000,000-mile Tesla, we want to have a 1,000,000-mile body. And so we're focused a lot on what you're talking about: a healthy mind, healthy body, and it can be really simple. I mean, changing out like a spark plug, or changing out one of those little weird Mercedes-Benz things is a lot. It's a lot like eating your salad, And if you procrastinate with your car, same thing as procrastinating with your body. You got to get out in front of it and sort of lean into the prevention thing.
Such a good point. Well, Croom, it's been such a pleasure meeting you, getting to know you, hearing about your past. Thank you for being willing to be on the show and for stepping into our world tonight. We had a blast.
Thanks, guys. Me too. Great to be on.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, you are welcome back anytime. So, Doug, what do you think? We're going to guide this to the off-ramp. Did you have anything further, or can we talk us out?
I think you've talked us out.
Amen.
It was great reconnecting with Croom, and he and I are going to catch up some more about some other adjacent work.
Yep. Yeah. Croom, we've been talking about you for some time, so this was such a pleasure. We appreciate you again. Thank you.
So fun. Thank you.
All right. He is Doug at carslove.com. I'm Christian at carslove.com. He was Croom, and this was a great episode. Thanks for spending some time with us. Please follow and tell a friend. Write a review if you like what you hear. And we would specifically love to hear what you think about the new website, www.carsloved.com. You can see all of our pictures, presences, episodes, blogs, posts, all kinds of stuff is there for you. So I'm sure we'll see you at the next local car show, showroom, race strip, or concourse. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time.